Hey, good morning. Welcome back to my bait cave. Today I'm working on some ribbon tail worms and some stick baits I need for an upcoming fishing trip. So it's a color I've never made before myself. I guess it would be called a green pumpkin red. But it's my favorite green pumpkin at this Lure Works 156. But I normally put black flakes in there. This time I'm gonna use fire red .040 hex flake. It's also by Lure Works. I'm anxious to see how this is going to come out. And since I've never done it before, I thought I'd let you guys tag along and tell me what you think. The molds that I'm going to make them in, I'm going to use this 5-inch stick bait. The other mold I'm going to use is these 10-inch ribbon tails. And then I was thinking with the ejector plugs and the leftover sprues, I was going to do some 4-inch rockets. It can almost be considered a remelt. So one thing to get started is just 1 cup worth of plastisol. Today I'm going to use a 262 formula. It's a little bit harder than what I normally do for the ribbon tails. I made a whole bunch of them with a 242 formula. But a lot of the feedback I've been getting from the 242 formula on the ribbon tails is that it's too soft. So I'm going to try to bump it up to this 262. Okay, so we already put this through the vacuum chamber. Still got a few bubbles in it, but I'm gonna have to reheat this one more time, and those will come out with the heat. It's cooling off quite a bit. I'm gonna have to give it another spin in the microwave. I give it about 30 seconds. 262. I noticed that every step up in resin, like 262 is going to have more resin than 242. So I find it every one of them microwave just a little bit different. So I got to be real careful with it. I'm going to start off with 30 drops. I think I lost count. It's not rocket science though. So that's the same, that's about the same I would do for regular green pumpkin with black flakes. Yeah, see, that looks good. And then normally on a black flake, I like to put a half a teaspoon, but I like to do it with 2/4 because I like to heat them a little bit. See, like that. It's really a half, but got a little bit of lanyard in there. Get that all mixed in real good. I think it shows up. That's about how much black flake would be in there if it was my regular recipe. I feel like that's going to work. About 310. I think that's a good injection. That's a good injection temp. Just, you want to, just a little pressure, nice and slow. Especially on these, on the stick baits, you don't want to inject too fast, and you don't want to inject it too hot because it'll dent. It has a tendency to want to dent. I think that's going to be good. All right, well, these are cooled down. Moment of truth, huh? Let's see what they look like. I'll move the camera over here. Let's look at these sticks first. So I really hope that red flake shows up. You know, I'm colorblind to red. I guess that's why I always put black in mine, but I'm hoping you guys can see it. All right, let's see what we got on these ribbon tails. All right, green, pumpkin, red. Hope that's looking good. So after a run like that with curly tails and stick baits, you get like these are injector plugs, which I always consider this remelt, even though it was never a lure. This is just leftover stuff from the cup. These are some runners. I like to try to get use out of them because I got the worms and stick baits all done already, but now I got all this left over, and I think it's going to look good. So on these toads, I don't know if this is yellow or chartreuse, but that's going to be a good looking flipper. Both of these molds have a top and a bottom, but since it's solid color today, it won't matter. And I don't have to use the vacuum pot on this. This was already vacuumed out like less than an hour ago. I think this is cooled down enough to open it. Let's look at this toad first. That's the Atomic Toad. See that? I like these. I use a big swim bait hook on them. Got the hook slot, a little hook guard right there, so I can throw these up in the weeds and be relatively sure I'm not going to get stuck. Let's see how these rockets came out. These are one of my all-around favorite trailers. I use them as trailers, but to be honest with you, I Texas rig this all by itself a lot, and have caught some pretty big bass just with the rocket all by itself. Well, all right, well that'd be my version of green pumpkin red. I decided it was a pretty cool color, and my best girl came out here and verified the actual red in it, and she said it looks really good, and the red shows up good. I went ahead and used up most of the leftover plastic. I would actually consider that remelt, because what it is it's the runners that's left over in the molds. In the mold, you see, you're gonna get this top part right here. That's the considered runner, so that's a lot of plastic in there. And the injectors won't actually empty all the way out. The plastic starts to get hard in there, so that's a typical injector plug. You know, that's quite a bit of plastic. And then the remainder of the cup, you know, when let me see if this is cool enough to, yeah, see that's considered a puck, you know, the bottom of the cup. And with my project today being concentrated on the sticks and the curl-tail worms, I didn't want to use any of that. I wanted a fresh, or say I wanted a new cup of plastic every time, mostly because of the red flake. I didn't want the flake to do something goofy in the microwave when I'm trying to remelt it. A lot of times colors like red will, to me, what it looks like it does is turn silver after it goes through the microwave for the second time. So for today, I got a new cup of plastic for every run of sticks and curly tail worm. So I wound up with a big batch of, like I said, I'd probably call it remelt, and I'll show you what I got left over. So that's the curl tails that I wanted, and then the sticks that I wanted. And I also, when I started to remelt the plastic again, I tried it in a speed worm. These things are pretty nice. I don't use them all the time though, so I didn't need a bunch of them. But the flakes seem to hold up pretty good for that second time melting the plastic. And then of course, then you know I'm always needing these rockets. So normally when I use green pumpkin, I use black flake, but I really I'm anxious to use these next week. And then I needed some toads. I don't use a whole lot of toads either, but I thought, why not? I like this mold. It's pretty unique. It doesn't float. You know, I'll punch mats with it, or I actually rigged these toads on a swim bait hook. It's got a hook slot, and a lot of times I'll throw it unweighted because it's a pretty stout bait. And I'll drag these across top of lily pads, and I'll throw them in a lot of junk, and that gets me some good strikes on this. I'm really anxious to see how that red flake is going to perform. This is one of the most versatile lures right here. You can throw this Texas rigged. You can use it as a trailer and anything else you can imagine. And then last but not least, I had enough left over to throw in a few lizards. I already had the tails molded, so I just threw those on there. Same with these. I didn't do those today. I had those leftover flippers from a while back. And this is something that's interesting. I didn't use non-bleed colors on these. A lot of times I make these tails. I'll make the tails with just leftover plastic, and I didn't pay attention whether it was non-bleed or not. And look what happened from sitting in a drawer. It crossed over colors actually with this, and it gave me some strange new color. So that's about it for me today. It's really starting to get hot out here now. I guess this morning I beat the heat, but it's creeping up. I'll probably have a lot of bagging and tagging to do for the next few days. Hey, so you know my last video, I didn't even bag those yet. I got them over here. Look, I still got some of these. This is what I want to put the wrong color flake in, so I'm gonna use that. But I still got these to bag up, and then I still got all this to bag up. I'm just falling way behind. And so I set those out on them trays like that because I like them to cure for about 48 hours before I actually bag them up. They're essentially cured when they come out the mold. They're still soft. They're not as hard as they're gonna get. I also think the longer you let them sit and cure, they kind of leach out what would probably be the chemical reaction that creates the plastic in the first place, because you can tell my shop it'll smell really strong like plastic, and then eventually that kind of fades, and that's just telling me that by that time the bait's ready to go in the bag. And I almost always, when I bag them, I drop a few drops of this in it. I don't really think that scent is a fish attractant. What I think it is a human smell blocker. You know, fish are so sensitive to what's on the lure itself. Just touching it with your fingers could leave your smell on it, and I think that kind of affects your fish. And I notice that if I use that, I seem to get more strikes than I would if I just threw a dry bait out there, if that makes sense. I have a few other scents for people that actually buy the lures from me, and they might have a request for a different scent. Some of the other scents I use is this is a cappuccino. I don't like it personally, but if anybody requests that, then I'll put a few drops of that in. This crawfish right here, I've used it before, but it stinks. It stinks horribly. This is the worst smell. I don't know why anybody would want it, but of course if somebody's buying them, I'll put it in there. Watermelon and grape, they're not bad. With the watermelon and grape, they're not bad. They smell good, but I just don't have any. I don't know anybody's ever caught a fish with that scent, and then I've never used it on anything that I've ever thrown. Well, anyway, it's about 1 o'clock. I'm gonna call it a day. It's Taco Tuesday, so you know what that means. I got to get in the air conditioned, throw a good movie on the tube, and eat some tacos. So I hope you guys stay safe out there. Stay cool. Very important to stay hydrated. That's the most important thing. Well, I take that. The most important thing, and you know what I'm gonna tell you. You know what I'm gonna say. Get out there and go fishing. Get you some equipment. Make you some lures. Get out there and go fish with them. All right. Until next time. I'll see you later.